Yes, sir. What is going on, YouTube? It is your boy D Nally, aka Don Squally, and we are back at it with another Forza Motorsport 7 build video, man. In this one, as you guys know on the channel, we do a lot of YouTuber request builds, and I do enjoy doing those builds. It allows me to tap into kind of a different market than my videos normally would. Now, the only problem with that is that there are a lot of cars on Forza Motorsport 7 that a lot of YouTubers don't own yet. And, when we do strictly YouTuber builds, we do tend to do a lot of like GTRs, Civics, R35s, just Miatas, the cars that YouTubers typically buy. So I'm going to take a request kind of out of the norm that's not a YouTuber build. So if you guys do have a build that's not YouTuber specific, let me know down in the comment section. For the next couple of weeks, we're just going to kind of do some random builds. But today's build is coming from Jason Haro 1994, and he wants to see that Kia Stinger build. Now, typically, when you think of Kias, what do you guys think of? The Kia Rio, the Kia Optima, Kia Sorentos, just pretty boring, basic cars from the factory. But the great thing about the Kia Stinger, let me just find it here, is that this thing is pretty well a sports car. Now, by the looks of it, if it didn't have the Kia badges, I would guess this is some sort of a Maserati. Comes with all-wheel drive from factory, 365 horsepower. We're gonna go ahead and buy this thing up real quick. Now we are gonna start out in that manufacturer red. There is a specific color that I really want to buy with this car, but we're gonna wait until after the build to get that going. So with that being said, let's jump into it. Obviously, first and foremost, we are gonna check out the tuning and upgrade shop. Heading to the upgrade shop first. Now I have a feeling there's gonna be some engine swap options here, but this thing rocking what I believe is a 3.8 liter twin turbo engine on this thing. Now it looks like we have the stock powertrain here. Now it looks like we did buy a few homologated parts on there, so we're gonna have to go ahead and remove some of those. V8, V10, get them the hell out of here. Now the one thing I would like to do is get a rear wheel drive swap on this thing, but because I want to keep it as authentic to the original car as possible, I'm going to leave that all-wheel drive on there, and we're going to see what we can make of it. We are going to buy that front splitter, looking very nice. That rear wing, we'll pass on that rear wing, ladies and gentlemen. Now, as far as the wheels go, I do like the tires. This thing, like I said, I did do a homologation, I believe, which kind of sucks, but we're going to probably change a majority of the parts here. Now, rim style, as much as I do like these wheels, I wouldn't mind seeing something with a nice little dish on here, so I'm going to skim through a couple of options and let you guys know when I find something that I like. Now, I'm not going to lie, skimming through a lot of these wheels, nothing really suits this thing aside from this ADV Forza. Now, these things are looking nice and fresh, got a nice little concave dish on there, so I'm thinking for this car, those are going to be absolutely perfect. And the width of the tires, we're going to go ahead, beef that up, both front and back, and that is looking fresh right now. As far as the drivetrain goes, pretty sure these things come with an automatic dual clutch, if I'm not mistaken. But we're going to go ahead and upgrade that clutch nonetheless. Transmission, again, with the homologated parts, I am going to put in a race transmission on here, and that differential, you know what, I'm going to leave the diff the way that it is because this is an all-wheel drive, and I really don't want to mess with it too much. We're going to have to go ahead and upgrade these brakes real quick. Springs and dampers, for whatever reason, looks like we own them, but they are not installed. Now, here comes the fun part with the engine. I do want to completely max out this engine. Now, I'm not 100% sure about the longevity of this engine, but from what I've read online, this thing's a quite capable car with just a little bit of tuning and bolt-ons. We're going to fully bolt this thing on, see what kind of numbers it is capable of in Forza, obviously, because we don't always max cars out here, but when we do it to Kias. So I'm gonna skip through all this. Looks like it's taking a little bit of time, but obviously through the magic of editing, you guys don't have to sit through all that nonsense. So what we're left with now is a 719 horsepower Kia. Now, if you ever thought you'd see the day, ladies and gentlemen, I mean, I know those Turbo Optimas, quite fancy, come with the turbo and all that good stuff, a tune and a few bolt-ons. You can make some numbers with that too, but this Stinger, man, this is just on a whole nother level. Now, you guys know I am a Nissan fan from the get-go. Now, one of my buddies recently just sold me his Altima, and he went ahead and bought himself a Kia Optima. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that's my boy, all right? So, you know, I have his best interests in mind whenever helping him out or giving him advice, and I wouldn't have let the man buy a Kia if they weren't doing something right out here. So all you guys who talk down on the Kias and think they're crap or whatever, when they first came out, I'll admit, the build quality, definitely not up to par with Japanese automakers, Nissan and Honda of the time, but nowadays, I gotta say, man, Kia is doing it real big. They're coming out with a lot of very sick cars, and I most certainly would consider one as just a reliable daily. That the big thing about it is the warranty, the price for them. You just can't beat it. Now, the paint that I would like to see on this thing is a very light gray, and I've seen it in person a couple of times. It's almost like a matte light gray. It's a very weird, it's actually not even matte, to be honest. It's just a very weird light gray, and I really like that look on these Kias, so I'm gonna go ahead and try to replicate that as best as I can. And this is, I mean, I wish we could see this thing in the light, but that's pretty close right there. We are gonna go ahead, tint up those windows. These wheels looking fresh, but I think they might look a little better blacked out or white. I think we should do them all blacked out here, ladies and gentlemen. That thing is looking seriously fresh right now. And I mean, that's pretty much all that it needs with these vents and everything. This car is already looking very aggressive. And now that we got all that fun stuff out of the way, I guess the only thing left to do is take this thing out on the road, well, out on a track, and see what it's capable of. Now, typically I do go with the test track, but what I wouldn't mind doing is getting an actual track happening here. So I'm gonna look through a few tracks. Let's head to Road America. And I think we're ready to hit the road and see what this Kia is all about here. Now, what would you expect from a 7 horsepower Kia? Well, right out of the gate, wouldn't expect it to handle very well. That power delivery, wouldn't expect to be very linear, even though it does have twin turbos on here, which tend to be a little more smooth than the single turbos. Brakes, not too bad. Lots of oversteer there. Able to correct it. Now, even with the all-wheel drive, was able to swing that back end around, which is interesting because I didn't mess around with the differential, and it was for that reason. Kind of wanted to see where this car was sitting in its stock form, and the differential running nice actually there. Twin turbo, 700 horsepower. Coming into that corner a little too hot, hitting the sand trap. Luckily we didn't hit that wall. Now that's a perfect example of what I would expect from a Kia. Let's get a little launch happening here, shall we? You can definitely tell that that differential has a rear bias. Oh, I'm friggin' overturning her again, boys and girls. Okay, I gotta pay attention to the road and stop yammering. Now, you can tell that rear end has a rear bias. I'm just gonna launch this again. You can see those back wheels smoking like a son of a bitch. Front wheels not really doing very much. That might explain our intense oversteer. Hitting that handbrake just a little bit. Dare I say we have a competitor with the GTR. Now, I know the R35 GTR's reliably capable of some very high numbers. Now, Kia coming out with some great engines, I gotta say, but it's just the longevity that I'm really unsure about at this point. Now, if I can see a couple of Kia Stingers out there, 200,000 kilometers on them, still pushing some good numbers and whooping some ass, I will be sold. But until then, I mean, is it something that I'd really want to put all my eggs into that basket with? Probably not. On a video game, impressive on a video game, I'm not gonna lie. Coming up on about 160 miles an hour. Just putting her into the tires and almost rolling the thing. Oh my good gracious. Okay, we need to simmer down. Thank God for those tires. Put it into the wall twice. Barely looks like a scratch on her. Now, this thing really does remind me of an R34 minus the good handling. Now, I'm not really paying all that much attention to my driving here, more so to that noise and the speed. But actually not too bad. Let's get in a little interior shot here, see what Kia's doing. Sounds like a supercharger on this thing. But coming down from a high RPM, I'm definitely sensing some R35 in this thing. Kudos to Kia, man. Gotta hand it to them. But, I mean, what can you say? It is a 700 horsepower Kia Stinger, man. But what I'm thinking we're probably going to do, go ahead and take our little screenshot for the thumbnail here. The brake's very bad. The brakes are awful here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not gonna lie. Maybe it's just the area of the track that I'm on. But yeah, definitely could use some improving on the brake front. But, I mean, other than that, Kia Stinger, in my opinion, very, very capable. Looks nice. Sounds great. Like I say, longevity to be determined. But, I mean, this is a little fire whip, man. I really like this thing. So if you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to smash that like button. If you guys want to see more and you are not subscribed yet, definitely do so. As always, I am your boy D Nolly, a.k.a. Don Squally. We're going to catch y'all mofos at the next one, man. Peace. Recovery of a lifetime. Oh, fuck. Oh, no. Oh, fuck. Yeah, keep on rolling there. Yeah. Don't worry about the racer or anything.